Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. No, it's not a beautiful Saturday. It's just you lot being full of. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls. How are we all doing today? let me just do this. Oh, does this work? Yeah, let me do this. Hold on. Relax, relax. Ooh, no, that's not the right one. Relax. Can I do that? No, I can't. I can sort of do that. That. What was it at before? Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Let's do that. Okay. Oh. Hmm. Okay. Hold on. Let me put that over there. Yeah. And then we will not use set list one. We will use set list two, and we'll put set list two over here so that we can actually talk about whatever we're going to talk about. Excellent, fantastic. No, 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 no. Forget it. That's not what we're doing today. So what we are doing today is our content today is sponsored by the Architecture and Interior Design Lobby, who have so kindly spent ooh, 3 times. Are we at 3 times or are we at 5 times? I think we're at 5 times. Yes. Ooh, that's a lot of money. 5 times the regular sponsorship fees to be able to bring you this. I don't know. Muses talking about buildings in Vietnam. I don't know. One second. Let me just respond to this email. Oh. Okay. There we go. Yeah. So because of the architecture and design lobby, we are going to be talking about these buildings that exist in Vietnam, and we're going to do so in a way that is, I don't know, pretentious. Am I pretentious? Of course, I'm pretentious. Okay, mildly, shall we say, mildly pretentious. Actually, we're going to be quite pretentious. We're mostly going to do this via the images as opposed to the descriptions. So the descriptions, this is our Arc Daily, so Architecture Daily. It's the site that I told the Architecture and Interior Design Lobby that they should pick some stuff from it, and then we get to talk about it. Um, it's sort of a mutual, how should we say, mutual promotion site, right? Like essentially people come here to browse, look for inspiration and all of that, and then professional companies would put their own work up on here for promoting themselves, and then Arc Daily, you know, takes a cut from the middle and also advertises for suppliers, and then suppliers, pay for advertising on here, and it appears to work. It appears to work just fine. So I guess it's just fine, right? Anyway, so we are starting with the NH apartment, which I have no idea where it is, nor do I really care where it is. Um, like the exact address, right? Presumably it's in Vietnam. Actually, no, we know it's in Vietnam. It's designed by a Vietnamese company, and it's meant to fit into um, the so culturally Vietnam is in a very interesting place, right? Because of the Vietnamese War, cultural development in Vietnam has taken has taken. Oh, that's not what I'm trying to do. There we go. Has taken a little bit of a backseat compared to other countries in Southeast Asia. Um, Obviously fighting that Vietnamese war. Well, okay, we're not talking about the immediate neighbors. When I say Southeast Asia, I'm talking Philippines, I'm talking Indonesia, Thailand, but definitely like around there, Cambodia and all of that. They have their own issues to contend with. In terms of Vietnam currently today feels like um, how China felt like 15, 20 years ago, in that there was like you had this urban scape that developed with a closed economy that was then opened up to allow intense foreign direct investment, right? So Vietnam today is host to a lot of manufacturing assembly, both for Western companies and for local Chinese companies. And well, no, it's think of it this way: there's only so much room around Shenzhen, and as that room gets taken up, as more people, as more factories sort of pile in there, you're draining the area and most of China of its um, lower tier skilled labor that would actually participate in these factories. And given that China has is already within its own demographic downturn, that means there is really only so much manpower left that can actually enter the factories, right? And so the assembly and manufacturing companies have had to move on to find other sources. Obviously, India is one of the bigger ones, um, but Southeast Asia is definitely another one, right? So for example, Thailand is really big in hard drives, and other sort of like, well, really big, quote unquote, because like, yeah, exactly that. So that's why culturally Vietnam is in a really interesting place, because unlike Beijing, which has really been torn down and rebuilt over the past 2-3 decades, Beijing and Shanghai and all of the big tier 1 cities, the cities like Hanoi, right, and Saigon are still very much they still very much retain a lot of the collectivism and closed economy contours. Well, do we want to say contours? Something along those lines, right? And so, but of course, modern design language has moved on within the past 20 years. So we're seeing modernist design being pushed into that kind of like closed economy, blah type of building, and that is really, it's actually interesting to me, right? Modern design being inserted into closed economy, closed planning economy system. Yes. Well, no, I'm not saying that Vietnam is where China was exactly 20 years ago, because that would be a lie, right? Like, in terms of demographics, Vietnam is definitely not quite as young as China was then. In terms of development, Vietnam is also, I would say, in some ways, Vietnam managed to benefit from a lot of the lessons that we learned in globalization and in setting up massive factories within China. And so, like, there's definitely a lot of money sloshing around in that system. The unfortunate part of that, of course, is that it means there is a rapidly developing upper class at the same time as um, middle class jobs not growing quite as quickly, right? Because middle class jobs tend to come from middle management, come from sort of translating something that worked overseas. In terms of a manufacturing industry, middle income jobs tend to be translating things that worked overseas into things that work locally, And there's simply a lot less of that that's necessary to be going on because a lot of those lessons were already learned. We have a much better idea of automation. And so it means that not only do the factories work a little bit more in an automated fashion, it also means that there's less necessity for for that heavy white collar, but not quite upper tier white collar work that's necessary, right? So anyway, no, that's not Vietnam in a nutshell. That's providing the cultural background for why this picture that we're looking at right now exists. Right? This is obviously a very modernist style. Whatever, brutal. You can call it, yes, absolutely. But no, you can also cannot, right? Because look at these. Look at this type of glass. Look at that kind of window shading, etc., etc. I detest. What I detest is trying to label things with specific labels and then leaving it like that. When I say modernist, I don't mean it is a simple. I probably shouldn't say modernist if I'm honest. I should say it is a modern building, not from the artistic perspective, but from a time perspective, right? Like, just generally, in general, like we see this kind of naked concrete all the damn time now. We see like raw woods, varnished woods. We don't see a lot of heavily painted furniture. Oh, I do. If I'm honest, I do miss IKEA from like 5 to 10 years ago when they had really colorful stuff. I think that was nicer than what we get now, because what we get now is all muted colors, all like Japanese Zen minimalism. Look at this, right? Like that's all this is. That's all this is. All modern whatever crap that these people do is rooted in this idea of minimalism. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind. Yes, I'll put it in. Muses rants on minimalism. Um, I don't mind minimalism. I don't mind meditative spaces. It doesn't mean you can't have a pop of color occasionally, right? Like a home doesn't have to be muted. It can also bring joy. Actually, one of these days I will show you lots some. We will actually know next time the architecture and interior design lobby gets around. We will look at so there is this column I follow within Asahi Shimbun, which is sort of a liberal-leaning newspaper in Japan, that all they talk about, the guy that writes it owns a interior decorating company, and presumably that's him. I think, and all he talks about is like every column he introduces some clients and what they did for their interior decoration, and you will find that actual Japanese decoration within Japan does not look like this. It doesn't look like this because it doesn't have to look like this, right? When you're talking about utility, when you're talking about the need to bring or the desire to bring joy to society, to bring joy to society, it doesn't have to be like this. And like, it can be joyful, right? Like, this is nice, don't get me wrong, this is nice for a museum. Don't put this in your bloody home, right? Like, you don't need these dots. Like, it just makes everything more difficult to deal with, because now you don't have drywall. Or, I mean, obviously they don't necessarily use drywalls here either, but you don't. It makes it difficult to route cables. It makes it difficult to. Okay, I'm calm. What timing are we at? We're at 14 minutes. 14. That's not the right button. 14. 40. That's not the right button. 30, whatever. 30. I'm calm. I'm so rarely on Windows computers now that I can't actually remember my hotkeys. Anyway, so let's finish this building, right? Like we look at it, we go through it. You see the nice wood, whatever is great, blah. Oh right, let's talk about that painting because this is one of those other things that actually mildly annoys me, right? Like this is. I don't know how much you lot would know about this, but this is a very, to me, this is a very Vietnamese painting. And I talked to someone about this yesterday, and their opinion was yes, this is sort of like a post or not post, but like it's an artifact left over from colonialism that redefined Vietnamese painting, Vietnamese art, and so there are obviously you can see if you look hard enough, it does have some Japanese influences in within it, and that is sort of cultural. And the person I talked to was quite adamant that this was a waste. Well, that it doesn't allow art to breathe, right? Because that kind of art is very quintessentially quote unquote Japanese and Japanese Vietnamese. And so if you do something else, then the professors will complain that it's not Vietnamese enough, blah 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 blah, and that makes it. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Same thing, right? Like that kind of stuff. And then you will get to the bedroom, whatever. It looks fine. Oh, also, yes, this is an apartment building. Before I forget, this is not just one house. You can see level 1, level 2, and then you get to level 3. You see, level 3 is essentially one 2-bedroom flat, which is probably the one we saw earlier with the painting, maybe. And level 4 and level 5, you can see these are all studio flats, I think. Yeah, because that's the bathroom, that's the bedroom, and then kitchen, dining room, bathroom, bedroom, kitchen, dining room, right? And then level 6 is a 1-bedroom flat. Oh, it's a. Okay, cool. Yeah, and it looks like that. Cool, good. Okay, moving on. Oh, come now. Excuse me. Okay, accept. Good. So this is in Hue, which is still Vietnam, and this is a slightly different building. I have actually not seen this one yet, so we will look at it together. Why why am I so pretentious? Why am I so pretentious? That's a good question. Okay, hold on. Let me. What time are we? We're at 18:30. Why is Muses so pretentious? Um, because I have opinions that were formed through thought, and I know that doesn't sound very impressive, but some of you, actually, quite a few of you, have seen my the way that I file my notes, right? And so what I do is I actually handwrite my notes, and then they get put into a digital system. So I have both the actual note cards, the 3 by 5 inch note cards themselves, that I file in my own file, and also I have a digital version of that then work on via a whole bunch of other stuff. We talked about Obsidian in the past and that kind of stuff. And um, part of, I think, what makes me pretentious, or what makes it more what gives me the ability to think about these things in depth, is the fact that I have all of these thoughts that I'm writing down, that I am um, going over and thinking about and putting into context, and tying that context to everything else around it. And that is not, I'll be honest, that is not something that everyone does, right? Like, I don't care how offended you feel. Is this the first time that the TAMC 5 has made an objection? I feel like it is. You were supposed to be the nice corporation. Like you're filled with nice people. Well, yeah. Okay. So I will say this. And I mean I've talked to a lot of people. I talk to most of you quite often. Um, and yes, I do talk to other people as well. And it's hard for me to say this without sounding like I'm trying to be, for lack of a better word, pretentious. But the way that I think about things is, I think, more holistic than I think a lot of people do, right? And partly that is reflected in my work. A lot of you have seen my actually. I think everyone in here has seen my work except for some year one students. But anyway, that's not important. You have seen my work. Like most of you have come to me for work, or we work together, so you know the way that I think. And I've heard from more than one person, like quietly, because of course you don't want to compliment Muses while anyone else can hear. But yeah, yeah. I'm pretentious because I'm pretentious. It's tautological. There we go. Anyway, so I don't know what this is. Actually, maybe I should read the description first. Wow, it's manufactured by Autodesk. Hillside house, as simple as possible, inherent beauty of the surrounding terrain. Hue is quite pretty. We'll deal with it in the future. So let's just go through this house. It is well, I mean most of Vietnam is close to the equator and is quite tropical, so you will always be warm-ish. Like it gets down to in the north and in the mountains it gets close to zero. I don't think it ever reaches freezing. I don't think. But I could be wrong. I am occasionally wrong. Um what am I commenting about on this house? If someone from the architectural and interior design lobby could tell me about this, like why am I talking about this? It just feels very glassy. I see. I see. Okay. 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 So the reason I'm talking about this apparently is exactly because it's glassy. It's my opinion on it being so like mostly glass. Um, well, I mean, you guys know when I built. Actually, I'm not sure if when I built those original Minecraft buildings in the ray traced Minecraft Windows 10 version Minecraft thing, Bedrock Edition. There we go. That's it. When I built those buildings, I did go heavily on glass, right? Like we had a lot of glass within the building. We had exterior glass that was mostly wall, except for one or two bits of wood. And I can see that work, but also I can see that completely fail, which I think in this case I am more likely to say that it's failed. Um, like I can okay, without reading the text, it feels like they were trying to let in as much light as possible so that you could see the scenery, surrounding scenery. Um, yeah, exactly. You see this, right? Like you have trees growing into the house, you have trees surrounding it, but they're just trees, right? Like at the end of the day, oh, okay. So those walls, those are definitely walled in, which means that that side, the side that we cannot see, that's coming from sort of the 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 right side of the house of the entrance, that side is walled in, and so I suppose that's fine. That's fine. It's all fine. Yeah, I mean, yes, no, I understand. I understand. Like you let the light in, everything looks bright. Um, okay, first of all, that's a bitch to clean. Okay, we are in a intensely humid, intensely wet area. This is Hue, after all, and so I'm actually not sure about salt air. Quickly let me just quickly look for Hue. Yeah. It is by the coast. Okay, that yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So it is by the coast. It is how far is it from the equator? It is not that far from the equator. And so I wouldn't expect it, or rather I would expect it to be quite wet. Mhm. Mhm. And so what that means is if it is quite wet, then that glass is just going to kind of like I don't know about the glass. I don't know about the wood even, right? Like will there be rot? Will there be comment on the design? Okay. Comment on the design. Okay, engineering aside, I think I think there's too much glass. Even in the inside of the building. Let's see what like this part. Like this glass is I don't think necessary. This piece of glass. I think that is the actually the outside. So past that piece of glass is the outside. I don't think this piece of glass is necessary. And like you see all these curtains all over the damn place. So they knew exactly or they saw exactly the problem that I'm talking about, which is if you have too much glass, you don't have any privacy. But are curtains really the answer? Right? I don't and I don't think so because curtains you can't mount anything on a curtain, right? So when you close the curtain, you are creating essentially a cave-like atmosphere. You can't mount anything on a curtain. Anyway, we are at 28 minutes, so we're done. Yeah, we're done for today. Thank you very much for watching. Yes. In conclusion, we didn't get to the third one. Yes, I know. Well, actually, let's just take a real close look. Oh, look, glass, fantastic. Thank you very much. No, no. Thank you very much for watching. In conclusion, please download Firefox, please download Chrome, and I shall see all of you tomorrow when we will be scheduling our next week's things. Yes. Yes. Yes, that's it. Bye. Oh, yes, wink. Wink. There you go. Wink. Bye. No, go away.